Speaking out of Akron, Ohio, representing Team Popping the Boys, the headline god, Jeremy Lambert, and his co-host, speaking out of Atlanta, Georgia, representing more than one royal family, the king of indie viewing, Stephen Jensen. And this is the Spotlight on Fightful.
Welcome everyone to the Spotlight here on Fightful. I'm Jeremy Lambert, that's Stephen Jensen, and shout out as always to Big Dick MLJ for the intro. It is Thursday, April 16th. It is WrestleMania week. Jensen, I'm exhausted, but I'm here because there's plenty to talk about in the world of professional wrestling. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, Jeremy. A lot of wrestling. I actually am pretty much behind on anything that's gone on in the collective up to now. I've been working and had other stuff going on, but I'm actually off work tomorrow and Monday. Going to be catching up on even more wrestling and stuff. So looking forward to a little time off work, watching a lot of wrestling, watching WrestleMania, of course, this weekend. We got UFC over the weekend. There's a UFC pretty much every weekend at this point. A lot of stuff going on. So it's going to be this is the week and weekend I probably look forward to the most of the year as far as, pro wrestling goes, especially coming off of AEW Dynasty, this past weekend also. I mean, this like full week, Sunday to Sunday is about as good as it gets. So, and also, I mean, really Saturday to Sunday, if you count TNA, which I did review with Crest to Star right after the show. I know a lot of people had rave reviews of that. And I know you were particularly fond of the Hardcore Country match, which I actually thought was pretty. I mean, it was actually pretty good. It was ridiculous. They were doing moves onto lollipops and fighting with reality stars in the crowd and stuff, and throwing each other into each other with buckets on their heads and stuff So, but anyways, between Rebellion. Was it Rebellion? I'm already getting the names of this. Rebellion. Yeah. Rebellion on Saturday, then Dynasty on Sunday, and then all this indie stuff that we got this weekend, or all this week rather, and into the weekend, then WrestleMania itself. Yeah. A lot to talk about.
Yeah, a lot going on, a lot to talk about. Let's not waste any time when it comes to this. Let's get right into it. We'll start from the back, I guess. We'll start with AEW, and then we'll jump in to WWE.
Over 1 million fans and a great number in the demo tuned in. And it was a great show, and I think it's been a run of great shows.
MJF retained the AEW World title at Dynasty, defeating Kenny Omega. That same night, Darby Allin defeated Andrade to earn a shot at the AEW World title. And he said he was going to take his shots on Dynamite last night. MJF went dark on social media. He had no clue this match was happening when he showed up to the building on Dynamite. He was quickly informed that this match was happening on Dynamite. It got pushed back to the main event. And then the main event lasted about 2 minutes because turnabout was fair play when it came to dick kicking. Darby hit 4 coffin drops from 4 different pillars. Beat him with a side headlock takeover. Darby Allin, your new AEW World Champion. What were your thoughts when you saw this, Jensen?
I thought this was done about as well as it could have been done overall. You also didn't even mention Sting's involvement. Love seeing Sting out there, giving the support. But this was done as well as I think that you could have in the short amount of time that they decided to execute this entire thing. Because obviously you could have drawn it out longer and had Darby wait a little bit longer and had MJF keep the title a little longer and still done this a little bit down the road. But you had this perfect opportunity basically being in Darby's de facto hometown, essentially. I mean, his family was there. That's where he trained and everything. So the timing was just really perfect. And the way that they caught MJF off guard in so many different ways, I think also helps, because where I was torn heading into this, now don't get me wrong, I did think the whole day, my prediction was that Darby Allin was going to win last night with a headlock takeover, which is something we've talked about even on this show before, because I've referenced that MJF versus Darby Allin full gear match many times. It's one of my favorite matches in AEW history. And I always suspected that Darby Allin would eventually beat MJF with a headlock takeover, which they, within one episode of Dynamite, heavily, built as a story. It's really interesting because this isn't AEW's fault whatsoever. I think AEW did this really, really well, as I'm saying. But I have a friend who follows AEW that's been sick for like the last week and completely missed Dynasty and missed Dynamite last night, but follows the product weekly and hit me up late last night like, wait, what, Darby won the title tonight? Like, how, that's so random. And I was like, well, it really wasn't random, but like you had to have literally like you had to have known on a Dynasty you won the match, that MJF didn't know that this match was happening, that he cashed in basically in his hometown, so on and so forth. But AEW did explain all these things as it was happening. So as a viewer, I thought it was, great. And it also, once again, how everything kind of caught MJF off guard. I do suspect that he'll beat Darby to win the championship back sometime between now and Wembley, because I do still think he'll be the champion going into Wembley. So this was a great moment. Darby Allin, Darby was kind of in like that Drew McIntyre position when he won the title from Cody. Also, it was like, you can't keep having Darby lose these big matches. And like, he gave up his title shot the first time to losing to Moxley. And it's like, he kind of had to win. It was his hometown. Everything just kind of lined up perfect. So yeah, I actually liked everything about this. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Darby was quite Drew McIntyre. McIntyre lost all his title shots within 5 months of each other. This was Darby's first title shot in years. I mean, even when he gave up the Moxley, when he lost to Moxley, that was almost 2 years ago now, at least a year and a half ago at this point. So I don't think he was quite in that spot. I did think he was going to win, especially being hometown and everything. I'm with you that I think that MJF still walks into Allin as the champion. I think MJF probably wins the title back at Double or Nothing, which is in New York, which is obviously a hometown for MJF. I mean, not quite Long Island, but still home state for MJF. So I do think that's going to happen. But I loved how they did this. Because I kind of suspected it was coming, I wasn't as down on like Darby winning as I think a lot of people were, because Darby was like kind of coldish coming to this, not like ice cold or anything, but compared to where he was when he returned last year at All In after the Moxley feud and everything, like he wasn't like a red hot challenger going into this match. And MJF has done great work as the champion. So I know a lot of people were like, this is a bad call, but I think the way they did it, I think a lot of people came around on it. I was like, all right, you know what? The way they set this up was really good. And I think it'll be a short reign for Darby. I've compared him to a Foley a handful of times. Like Mick Foley held the title for 3 times for like a combined 40 days. That's all Darby needs to do. I don't think he's like a long-term kind of champion. He's a guy who has the title, makes some title defenses, loses to the guy who is more of a long-term guy.
Yeah, well, and also to your point with that, I think that also kind of goes hand in hand with another big reason why I think they did this and the timing of this. WrestleMania is this weekend, and AEW has buzz in the wrestling world during WrestleMania week. Like, that's good for AEW, I think, for them to be, for wrestling fans to be caring about AEW and what they're doing. And it was logical. It wasn't like this out of nowhere, didn't make any sense type of thing. Like they, if you follow AEW, this was a really long-term story that's played out. And it's technically not over because we both agree that MJF will win this championship back from Darby. So it probably won't be a very long run. But, for history's sake, I think Darby needed to win the championship at some point for sure. But yeah, I thought this was really good. And now, heading into WrestleMania, there's all these people talking about how good AEW Dynasty was and how good, I thought AEW Dynamite, just the entire show was really good last night. I thought that they built this whole main event really, really well, from the opening segment of them teasing the match at the beginning through explaining the history between the two all night to Sting giving Darby, Darby does it's showtime and Sting says, no, it's your time. And like the whole thing was just done really, really well. It would have been like really bad television at the end of the day if they would have went the other, like if Darby would have lost at the end of the night, that would have been like so lame. It wouldn't have really accomplished much. Like MJF's already the most over heel in the entire company, win or lose at the end of the night. Literally the only negative to Darby winning in any shape or form is I really think MJF was cooking as champion. Like he was killing it as world champion. So like, it's not like I wanted MJF's title reign to end. That's not the case at all. But they were also in a situation last night where I feel like Darby absolutely had to win, and it was the right call and it was the right thing to do. And it's really good stuff. And Darby has a lot of history with a lot of people in AEW, so you can have like a quick title run and have him defend against people he's feuded with in the past, and then lose it to MJF, and MJF, most likely him and Ospreay at Wembley is what everyone's expecting, right?
Yeah, that's what most people think. I have seen after last night people kind of theorize that maybe it's going to be MJF and Ospreay and Kenny at All In. I think that's the Owen final, but there's a world where we get Ospreay and Kenny at All In. I think Kenny would walk in as the champion in that case. Maybe you do a triple threat match at Double or Nothing between Kenny, MJF, and Darby. And Kenny wins that. Kenny holds the title until All In, and then Ospreay and Kenny at All In. That's just a theory. I think it's going to be, again, MJF wins the title back at Double or Nothing. Ospreay wins the Owen. Ospreay and MJF at All In.
Yeah, we're on the same page with that. Obviously there's a lot of fans that want to see Kenny win the championship again, and there's still a story there for sure. Kenny made that pretty clear last night, talking about how he's not finished. The AEW is in a, I'm not going to sit here and go in a whole, talk about how, I'm not going to sit here and just like dick ride AEW. I'll just put it that way. But because I'm a fan of all of these companies and I want all the companies to succeed. But I'm going to sound like an AEW fanboy here, which I kind of am. But like, I think their product is really, really, really good right now. Like the roster that they currently have and the shows that they're putting on and the talent that they have, I think that they really like. I think if wrestling fans aren't tuning into the shows, I think they're really missing out on great wrestling shows. And I think that this is the perfect time for them to be doing what they're doing, because as much as I love Cody and him being the top guy in the WWE, like what they're able to do, their ticket prices are insane. People are not happy with the McAfee stuff. We're going to get into all of that. But the reason I'm tying it into this is because this is when AEW can really have an opportunity here, not to strike and take down the WWE, but like if you're a wrestling fan, you could probably take your entire family to an AEW show for what it costs for one WWE ticket right now. Like AEW has a real opportunity here to really market. Hey, if you don't like what WWE is doing, it's kind of like when they started the company years back. If you don't like what the WWE is doing right now, if you don't like all the celebrity involvement and stuff, if you want the best pro wrestling, it's right over here. It's easy to access. And if you want to come live, it's super affordable. So this is kind of great timing for them to be, going on all cylinders right now. And I bought one of the Lucha masks last night also. So,
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So, it's cool. They have a partnership with the NFL to license merch and stuff now, which is sick. So yeah, I think AEW is doing great right now during WrestleMania season. So good for them.
Yeah, I mentioned it yesterday. They announced the pay-per-view. They announced the Lucha Mass deal with the NFL, and they did a title change on the same day in the middle of WrestleMania week. Like, try to get the buzz how you can. I have no issue with that. Yeah. Anything else from Dynasty that you want to talk about?
I mean, I don't know how much time you want to spend on AEW because I know there's going to be a lot to get into with WrestleMania, but I thought the Dynasty, I don't think it was the best AEW pay-per-view of all time, but it was well worth the $40 I spent to watch it on HBO Max. I've never felt ripped off by the level of wrestling in the matches that I get for the price of the AEW pay-per-view. So, I thought it was really good. I mean, Andrade, I'll bring that up. I'll just him and Darby, I thought was really good, but I think that they just need to continue to massively push Andrade. I just can't say enough good things about him right now. For whatever reason, he really stands out to me. AEW's whole main event scene right now, their upper mid card. I mean, really their whole card, but I mean, even more specifically, their upper mid card of their main event scene is so stacked right now with talent. So Andrade, I think is what did you like best about the show? What was your favorite match?
I did love the Andrade and Darby match. I really loved the opening tag team match between the Bucks, Takeshita, and Okada. Yeah. I thought that was the best match on the show, just me personally. Andrade and Darby was second for me, but Kenny and MJF was great as well. Moxley and Ospreay was great as well. Those four, I remember the most. But yeah, I really like Andrade and Darby because Darby just bumps around like a madman, and Andrade can toss him around and looks very cool doing it. But Andrade also is I think more giving and more just kind of willing to do things that I don't think he gets the credit for. And his strikes look so good, and Darby sells the strikes so well. So I really love that match. But the tag match, Bucks against Takeshita and Okada, when you blend that kind of story with Takeshita and Okada and them not being on the same page, with some humorous moments, with some just great action, with a good structure, I thought that was the best match on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that they tied everything in really well. The tag match at the beginning of the show I thought was great also. I agree with everything you said. It really top to bottom was a really great show. It's been a run of really great shows. Yeah, I mean the tag match, even FTR versus Copeland and Christian. That. And no one expected FTR to retain, I think, but I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, that was much better than I thought it was going to be. And that's not a knock on anybody in the match. They're all really good. But I definitely thought Cope and Christian were going to win. There was more urgency to that match than I kind of expected. And I appreciated how much there was, because I think FTR winning actually helped that urgency. I think if Cope and Christian had won, it might not have been there as much, and I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that was really good, especially compared to expectations and everything.
It just seemed kind of strange being in Canada, them losing. I expected Kenny to lose, but it felt like the Canadians had a pretty bad night overall. I thought that Mox and Ospreay was really good also, just for the record. I think it was great to see Kyle O'Reilly back. Didn't expect the conglomeration to beat the Dogs. There's literally no point in those tag titles. It's literally just whatever the trios match is the trios title, and it's just whoever wins that match that night is the champion. We can have these great matches without needing the title belts at all. But I do love Kyle O'Reilly, so it was good to see him back. How did you feel, before I give my thoughts on this, how did you feel about Ricochet versus Jericho and their story continuing last night with the whole group versus Jericho?
I didn't really need it to continue. I thought it was too long. Like, I would have cut some time off of that match. It wasn't like bad or anything. It felt every bit of, like, I'm pretty sure it was like 18 minutes. It felt every bit of 18 minutes. I would have cut that down to like 12, and I probably would have enjoyed it a little bit more. Jericho's in like a weird spot because like he's losing, which people I think wanted. They don't want him to just like beat everybody. Ricochet, I don't know how people feel about him right now. Like, he was very hot as a heel. I think he's cooled off for different reasons, and I don't know if this is the guy to like heat up off of this. And Jericho, it feels like he's almost doing like a WWE bit of like, if he went back to WWE, this is the stuff he would do. Like, oh, I'm gonna say the list because that's what people love. I'm gonna just repeat a catchphrase like bald because that's what you would do in WWE. Like, it just feels like he's doing something like that, of like, he's basically pretending he's back in WWE, but he's not in WWE. And he's like almost doing like a greatest hits thing as well. So I don't mind it. I like Jericho. I think he's very good, but I could see it wearing thin kind of quickly when people like maybe catch on it.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. So I think that the actual match itself was pretty solid. And I liked, if Ricochet was going to win, him winning with the Lion Salt, was a nice kind of touch. And then him calling it the Rico Salt, doing it again last night. But you're right. He comes across like he's playing WWE Chris Jericho. But I also can't tell if it's so meta that he knows that he's doing that and it's intentional, but you would think that he would definitely be doing that with a heel. Right.
No, he definitely knows what he's doing. Like, he's not I don't think he's stupid on
either do I.
That. Yeah.
Unless he's become that out of touch somehow. Like, within like the last year of being off television, he lost all touch.
Because remember when he was, I always forget if it was the Ocho or the Nueve, but he was basically doing like the WWE. It was kind of with the Jericho Appreciation Society stuff. He's like, oh, the universe, or not the universe, wait, the galaxy, the Jericho galaxy is what he would call it. Like, he was effectively like poking fun at like WWE and stuff there, but that was meta stuff with him where he's like, oh, I know I'm poking fun at WWE and I'm doing like a WWE bit, but I know it. This feels like he obviously knows he's doing it, but you as the audience member are not supposed to know he knows he's doing it, type of thing. So maybe it's all, maybe Jericho's doing an Inception bit at this point.
Which I do love, and I do admit that when I purchased my Lucha mask last night, I needed to spend $100 to get free shipping, so I also threw in a Chris Jericho return t-shirt. So I'm still supporting my guy out there. I actually don't mind the Demand versus Jericho feud continuing so much. Like, I didn't really need it, and I would have preferred Jericho just to win because he hasn't wrestled in a year and then like loses his return match. Kind of anticlimactic. Once again, in Canada, another Canadian losing. But I mean, this heavily implies that he's going to get some help because it's 3-on-1. Like, the reason he lost to Dynasty is because it was 3-on-1. They talked about that in the promo last night, the back and forth. He was talking about it being 3-on-1. I could definitely do without him. I know that Ricochet's whole thing is the whole, like, people calling him bald is this big diss towards him. It's a very weird thing to say in wrestling, though, when guys like Steve Austin were like the most successful wrestlers ever being bald, and Goldberg and The Rock's been bald for years, and so on and so forth. But nonetheless, Jericho just kind of spammed that insult over and over again, which was a very WWE Y2J style thing to do for sure. But do you think that he's going to reunite with the Learning Tree? Like, who do you think is going to come out for that? Like, I'd actually like to see him team with Edge and Christian, honestly, if like they weren't still like tied up with FTR. I actually kind of think like an old man team of Edge, Christian, and Jericho would actually be pretty cool. But that's just me.
I kind of thought about that, if it would be, Cope and Christian. I don't know if that's the direction they're going to go in. I don't think it is, but I could see it happening. I don't know who they would go with Jericho at this point. And there aren't, I mean, there are options, but I don't really want to see him with a faction, honestly. Like, I'm okay with Jericho just being on his own. It does feel like he's got to get some help, though, against a 3-on-1. Otherwise, he's going to win the 3-on-1. And so, okay, that kind of, it puts the demand under a little bit. I just don't know who you go with in this spot, because Jericho factions just haven't exactly worked out. And I don't know if this one is going to work out. This is one thing, WWE obviously always did great, is with Jericho, at least his role in WWE. Like, he had partners, but he never like had a faction in WWE. Like, it was never him and like a bunch of guys. It felt like AEW, they obviously hit on something with the Inner Circle in Jericho's, debut, and not necessarily debut, but, when they first got to television. Like, they hit on the Inner Circle, and then because they hit on that, they're just like, oh, let's keep going back to Jericho factions. But throughout his entire career, Jericho's never been a faction guy.
Yeah, you're right about that. That's also why I think if it was him, Cope, and Christian, for instance, it would be more of like a trio where they're all on the same level, versus him and like, this is just random, but let's just say they randomly were like, all right, Alec Price, Jordan Oliver, you're with Jericho, just have banger matches. Like, then it's going to be on Jericho to also, like, hopefully, like, obviously the blueprint for what people fear in Jericho being a mentor is Sammy Guevara, like that type of situation where they have some success, but ultimately the long term, because what people forget, and I kind of am fuzzy on, honestly, with my memory too at this point, but obviously Jericho mentored Guevara in the Inner Circle for a long time. And then they had that whole falling out with the Inner Circle. But then after that, him and Jericho ended up teaming up again after that. And they were like kind of tied together for a long time in AEW. And Guevara had his moments. But when you look at where he's at now, for instance, like, no, not trying to, no offense, I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything. But, he went from, ladder matches for the TNT title against Cody Rhodes to, doing whatever he's doing in Ring of, I think is he a trios champion in Ring of Honor still? I think that's what he's currently
trios
doing.
And tag team. Yeah, I think he's definitely tag team. Because it pops me that he's never lost the titles.
Well, so he's having success where they're using him, and at least like he has a good thing going for him there. But obviously, people know the point that I'm trying to make. Jericho had the Jericho Appreciation Society. Look at where everyone is kind of at from that. Look at where everyone from the Inner Circle is kind of at. I mean, Santana has done well for himself, but that's been outside of AEW. Jake Hager's about to be power slapping people. I mean, there's, so anyways, I think it's a pretty valid point of, I don't think it's the best idea. And even the Learning Tree. Like, I'm a big fan of both Big Bill and Brian Keith, individually and as a team. I like those guys a lot. But when's the last time they did anything notable with them on Dynamite? I mean, it's been forever.
I mean, their last notable thing on Dynamite was Jericho leaving them
a year ago. Yeah, I mean, so it's so anyway, I'm more for that. You know, if it's going to be, I'd rather see Jericho and some veterans like Cope and Christian, for instance, being my top choices than mentoring another group. I'm with you.
Yeah. Anything else from AEW you want to touch on?
No, I think that's good. I think once again, can't stress it enough for people who have trickled in throughout the show. I think AEW's doing great in all aspects. I did purchase a Lucha mask last night, and I'm going to be wearing it throughout the NFL season while my Minnesota Vikings win. So let's go Vikings.
I do want to I want to know what those Lucha masks are like. So yeah, whenever you get it, like you gotta review it for us on here.
I'll do a comparison because I have like a knockoff one from Mexico from years ago. It's just like a Vikings Lucha mask that it fits me. It's actually pretty nice, but my dad bought it in Mexico years ago. This on AEW's website, I was looking at the one picture they had, but it looked nice. It looked like the AEW logo is stitched on the back of the head, like maybe like towards like the bottom, like on the neck, and the logos are actually stitched in. I mean, it looks pretty high quality. It was $60, so I'm expecting it to be high quality. I think most of their masks are normally like $40 from what I was seeing on their website. So these should be solid.
Okay. Yeah,
we're getting 619s in no time.
I am curious, what the quality and everything is of these things. So, I'll be interested in your review because we had a few people in our ITW chat mention they got the mask as well, and I just wanted to know sort of what they were like. I'm probably never going to get one, but I am curious what they are like.
I like this. Joe Roy J says you'll be El Hijo de los Vikingos. I like that. I like that a lot because I am a Vikings fan, so that's clever.
All right, let's get into the WWE and WrestleMania.
I need to finish the story. In the WWE, the story never finishes.
Are you excited for Pat McAfee to win the WWE Championship on Saturday night, Jensen?
Dude, I don't know if we really even talked about the Pat McAfee stuff at all on here.
Yeah, because this happened 2 weeks ago, and we didn't do the show last week because children. And then obviously Friday they did more. So no, this is the first time I'm getting your thoughts on the McAfee stuff. And I'm very curious what you think of this McAfee stuff.
So I need to preface this by saying I actually watch the McAfee show pretty often. I'm a big fan of Ty Schmidt, even though he's a Packers fan. I think he's very funny. The guys are, it's on at a good time. I work from home. It's on almost every afternoon for like 3 hours. So, and up to this point, Pat McAfee, I think, has done very well for himself in the WWE, whether it be his match against Adam Cole in NXT, really anything he did in NXT, in or outside of the ring. I think he did very well in WWE. Yeah, I've always said that he is a terrible commentator, but he's good for what his role is. It's similar to Don West, who, rest in peace, was one of my I've said it 1,000 times, my favorite commentary team ever was Mike Tenay and Don West in TNA. And I loved it because Don West was such a fan. Like, he just marked out and he was so entertaining. And I loved his infomercials and him swimming around in Ken Griffey Jr. rookie cards, and all that kind of stuff. Like, so I could appreciate what McAfee was doing on commentary. And then when he had opportunities in the ring, he knocked it out of the park. And especially most recently, he had that match with Gunther. And he was, the sympathetic baby face throughout that whole story. So for them to just go out of the complete blue with this heel turn, him joining up with Randy Orton, made no sense at all, even from just like a storyline perspective. And obviously the story is so bad and so frowned upon that even Cody himself is going around doing interviews talking about how bad it is. like they've tried to carry this over into the McAfee show itself. They had Cody vandalize the set of the McAfee show the other day and stuff like that. And they're doing whatever they can, but sorry, go ahead.
He vandalized by like breaking one photo and taking his title back. Like, it was pretty weak.
Yeah, it was weak. And I mean, that gigantic stack of papers was right there. And for people who don't know, that stack of papers on McAfee's desk, that's like the run sheet or whatever you call it, the program basically for every episode of the show they've ever done. So from day one, he put one piece of paper down on that desk in that spot. And every episode has just been stacking up for literally year after year after year. That's where it would have hurt. If Cody would have went in there and just destroyed those papers, that would have hurt more than anything else he could have done in that entire building. And like the dude mopping who let him in just like watched it happen. Like that was, but anyways, they're doing what they can with what they've been given. But obviously there seems to be this whole thing about TKO wanting McAfee involved and the WWE just having to shoehorn him in there. You know, it's totally unnecessary because the story writes itself for Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. Cody's doing his best to like explain this as fast as he can in interviews. Also, he's basically telling a condensed version of this story. Like when I've seen him in like these interviews leading up to WrestleMania, like off of WWE television, just media appearance stuff that I've seen him do. And, you know, he'll be like, yeah, the McAfee thing, you know, sucks. I don't know why I really have to do that. But, you know, Randy Orton was the first match I ever had in the WWE. I was, you know, kind of his underling in the legacy. He was my mentor. We have all these 20 years worth of history. He's trying to become the 15-time WWE champion. There's only the record 17 from John Cena. You know, so like there's all this stuff that they could have totally played out as the actual story the last few months. And not even to mention the recent history where Cody beat him for King of the Ring and everything. Like Randy has all these reasons, and even Randy's reasons for the match have nothing to do with Pat McAfee, really, because he's just talking about, well, you know, when I won this opportunity, Drew McIntyre was the champion, and you know, Cody won the title back, so I'm treating Drew just like, or Cody just like I would have treated Drew. And it's like, okay, well then why did Pat McAfee tell you anything then? Like, and then why is Pat McAfee talking about the Attitude Era when Randy Orton wasn't in the Attitude Era? Like none of this stuff. It literally feels like TKO came to WWE and was like, you have to use Pat McAfee. You have no say in it. They chose what story they wanted him to be a part of. They threw him out there with a live microphone and basically told him to wing it. He said a whole bunch of stuff that made pretty much no sense. He talked shit about the era of wrestling that he's been participating in. Like, he's been wrestling matches in this era. He's been the commentator for years in this era. In the WrestleMania 40 main event, when Cody won the championship. Cody Rhodes won the championship at WrestleMania 40 in the greatest match of all time over Roman Reigns. Pat McAfee is standing there at the commentary desk that was broken, standing there, clapping his hands, looking like he's got tears in his eyes, cheering for Cody Rhodes, finishing the story. None of this makes any sense. His involvement makes no sense. The storyline makes no sense. The heel turn makes no sense. And then the cherry on top is the stipulation where it's like McAfee saying that he'll never appear again on TV or anything in the WWE if Orton loses. It's like, are we really supposed to believe they're never going to have Pat McAfee? So either they're going to do what we think Hangman will eventually do, and McAfee will just go back on his word, or they've literally just completely telegraphed the finish of this match because we expect McAfee will continue to show up. And yeah, so I think the entire thing, like it's a real bummer that they had this story that was 20 years in the making, complete layup that they could have told heading into this match. And more people are talking about just why the fuck is Pat McAfee even involved in this?
Did you get your 25% off WrestleMania tickets at least? Night one and only, because night two sucks.
Dude, well, shout out to my friend Gunnar Mathis, who's been on the show before. Gunnar, the Cody Rhodes collector. He is on the way to Vegas, so I hope he got good deal on his tickets and everything he's doing. I'm going to give Gunnar a shout out. He is the man. There are a few people out there that you can really count on to come through with stuff. And he told me when he went to Las Vegas, because I don't want to. You know me, Jeremy, even when he bought me that Sting, I felt bad. I was like, you offered, and I was like, dude, like if you're in line and you're willing to buy me this Sting at this show that you're at, like I would love it, but don't feel like you have to do it. Gunnar, before he gets to Vegas, is like, anything you need, bro, I got you. Like any, I'm just like, dude, all right, just send me the list of what Cody merch they've got there. Like, so Gunner's a real one. So I want to give him a shout out. He's the top Cody Rhodes collector in the entire world. And this is a big weekend for him too, because this is, a lot of one-of-one type Cody memorabilia will be available only to people at WrestleMania. So he'll probably be the first in line to get this stuff there too. So anyways, respect. That's how I feel about WrestleMania. I'm more excited about the merchandise that my friend is going to bring back from WrestleMania than I am for the show itself, probably. Yeah.
I assume you think Cody is going to win.
Of course.
Like, objectively, do you think Cody is going to win?
Well, here's the thing. What does Orton really accomplish by winning this? I get it, number 15. I get that. Okay, that's not number 17. Do we really want him surpassing Cena anyways, especially anytime soon? I mean, and then from there,
have to be soon.
Listen, okay, so this is going to tie into potentially the main event also. I don't think it's a coincidence that Pat McAfee's also talking mad shit about CM Punk. Okay, so I think it's possible that by the end of the night of WrestleMania 2, or night 2, I think it's very possible we're living in a world of WWE where Randy Orton is the WWE champion, Roman Reigns is the world champion, and they have aligned with Pat McAfee and TKO. I think they're going to just make this a giant storyline. Like, those are the chosen guys from I mean, even Jelly Roll could swerve, and like he is in with the celebrities. Logan Paul could join. I mean, like it feels like they're turning this into a story, or very well could. Because I don't know why else McAfee's talking shit about CM Punk. Makes no sense because he's not involved in that.
So Misfit Wrestling Podcast says, I don't want to alarm.
Oh, and The Rock obviously is in this group. Yes. I didn't even mention The Rock. He's obviously The Rock is in this TKO group. So thank you for the super chat very much. I didn't mention The Rock by name, but that would just, I guess, heavily implied. The Rock is in this group with Roman Reigns, with Randy Orton, I could totally see them doing something like this. I'm not saying this is good, by the way, everybody.
No, the Rock's involved, it rules. I
just want Cody Rhodes. And by the way, why would TKO even want, or why would they prioritize Orton over Cody anyways at this point? You have Cody, who's younger, in his prime, your top merch guy. Like,
I don't think they're prioritizing Randy Orton over Cody Rhodes. I think they think Pat McAfee is some type of major draw and he's going to bring more attention to the show, and they're like, figure out a way to use him, and this was the idea, to use him. I don't think they're actually looking at this of like, oh, well, we want the title on Randy instead of Cody. I think Randy was always going to win the title, honestly. I once he turned, I thought Randy was going to win the title. The McAfee stuff just has kind of overshadowed what could have been with this story. But I don't think this is a TKO thing of like, we want the title on Randy. This is a TKO thing of McAfee's involved, figure it out. And this was the idea they have come up with.
Do you think, okay, let's think a little bit longer term here. Although obviously WWE pivots quite a lot, and TKO could just at any point just put their thumb down and just be like, we're doing this instead. Okay, let's say hypothetically speaking, the impossible happens and Randy Orton defeats Cody Rhodes, okay? Okay, so Randy Orton becomes a champion. Okay, do you think that leads to more matches between Cody and Randy and them telling an actual story of their history and like Cody eventually wins the title back from Orton? Or what does that look like? Like, why have Orton have the title? Like, what's that title run look like? Who are his opponents? Like, why would you even do that?
I think it looks kind of like John Cena's title run last year of we get the belt on Orton. They do McAfee and Orton against Jelly Roll and Cody Rhodes at Backlash. I was going to call it WrestleMania Backlash. Orton holds the title. Orton holds the title for a couple months. And then SummerSlam, they tell the story they wanted to potentially tell going into this show, because TKO is not going to care as much about SummerSlam tickets, because the SummerSlam tickets will probably be fine because they're running Minnesota. It's a different stadium. They're not running the same place for the second straight year. So it'll probably be okay, and they won't care to interfere with it, because that's why they're interfering in this, right? It legitimately is ticket sales. They're like, why are WrestleMania tickets so far down from last year? What's wrong? What can we do to insert this? We saw it last year with The Rock. The Rock literally said, y'all weren't moving tickets for Toronto at Elimination Chamber, so they called me up and they said, hey, we need you to come here and do something. They only care about the ticket sales. And we know why ticket sales aren't moving this year. At least a big reason why is because they're running Vegas for back-to-back years. And people don't care to go to Vegas for a second straight year. Like, WrestleMania is a destination show, right? Like, a lot of people travel from all across the world. Like, oh, I want to go to WrestleMania, but I also want to go to this city that I otherwise may never go to and take in all the wrestling here. Well, you went to Vegas already last year, so there's no novelty of like going to Vegas for potentially the first time this year. And that's why ticket sales are down, at least part of it. I mean, the product is what it is, Izzy Dame, for this whole build-up and everything, but I don't think it's been as bad as people think it has been. Now, once they've inserted all the McAfee stuff, yeah, it's gotten off the rails and hilarious to me that they've gone this way. But I think if you look at it after, let's pinpoint basically when Cody beat Drew for the title, and you were looking at Cody and Randy as one match and Punk and Roman as another match, and then you kind of looked up and down the card, you're like, all right, there's some good stuff here, there's some not so good stuff, but it's not like the worst card in the world. I think that it could be like a good wrestling show. And then it just got completely off the rails. So I don't think the booking has been like as terrible as people thought it was or claimed it was, like leading into all of this. But now it's just hilarious because they're talking about ticket sales and how the card sucks, and like, yeah, don't bother to watch this show because it sucks. McAfee literally said, don't bother with night 2. That lineup is ass. That is word for word what he said. And then you want people to go and pay to watch this. Like, you had this guy go on the show and say, don't even bother. That lineup sucks. In what world is this good? It's hilarious. Yeah. It pops me. It's funny. In what world is this good?
It isn't. I mean, I think you combine that with everything you just said. You combine the random usage of Pat McAfee just like talking complete nonsense with the fact that they're going back to Vegas for a second year in a row, and it's not even so much the destination being the same place twice. I mean, I think that has a lot to do with it. Don't get me wrong. I think going anywhere back-to-back years, you're going to lose definitely a percentage of people because of everything you said with, like, you know, wanting to visit that city or whatever one time, but maybe not wanting to do it a second time in a row. But even more specifically, Vegas being that city, because people don't like, this is coming from somebody who obviously is very pro gambling, right? I actually did very well on April 13th, 3 days ago. I did very well. I had like one of my best days ever. So, but anyways, my point is I partake. I'm an advocate. Gamble responsibly. But Vegas fucking sucks. Like, if you go to Vegas nowadays, like, you're not gonna even have a good time. Like, WrestleMania or not. Like, you can go there, there's a lot of stuff to do there now, technically, with all like the sports teams and stuff. You can go there for sporting events, I guess. But like, if you compare Vegas now to what it used to be, it's such a joke. Like, it's so expensive. Like, just to even visit Vegas, you have to pay like $30-$40 a night, probably just for like parking or whatever. If you have a car there, or if you there's like the buffets that used to be like cheap and free and stuff like that, like, are just totally gone. Everything's expensive. Like, it's not even that fun of a place to even visit anymore. So I don't, I get the WWE just went to the highest bidder. Like, that's what they did. Obviously, New Orleans was supposed to get it. They announced it and then took that back. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that too. It's the actual, it's the weirdness of the booking and the McAfee inclusion. It's the back-to-back years, and it's the place they're going itself. So yeah, it's a recipe for
The lineup sucks. Ticket sales are down. Business is down, and it's all because Cody Rhodes is leading the business into the toilet. Even though, as much as I troll you about Cody, even though he is the second guy on the show that has led them to a huge boom period where they tout their records every single month of, oh, we did this sale, we did this number, we did this gate, we did this attendance, we did this viewership. Cody had a very big hand in that. And now they're saying, yeah, Cody sucks and everything's down and everything sucks. It rules. It's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. It's the dumbest thing ever, but I love it. Like, this is how you're spending your WrestleMania build. It's so funny to me.
Yeah, it's pretty, I almost said unreal, but like, that's almost a pun in itself, because
I'm excited for the next season of Unreal, let me tell you, because I want to see. It's going to be heavily curated, don't get me wrong, but I really want to see like what kind of went down here. Bring Triple H with his Charlie Day board of like, well, then Mark Shapiro called me and he said we got to get Pat McAfee into the show, and then Ari Emanuel called me and he said we got to get Pat into the show. I said, well, where are we gonna put Pat? And they said, well, that's for you to figure out. And I'm so ready for all of this, so ready for it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty interesting, because that'd be pretty funny, because we're in April. Like, imagine getting the news about like McAfee or any of this stuff like on April Fool's Day. Like, if they got any kind of footage of that kind of stuff, I could just imagine a scenario on April 1st where, Triple H is trying to explain to Cody what they're going to do with McAfee, and he's like, "You're fucking kidding me, right? Like, why would we do that? We have 20 years of built-in storylines." DiBiase Jr. is not even guilty. Like, we got to bring him in. Like, there's a lot they could have done with this. Manu's out there still from the Legacy. Like,
no one cares about that.
No, I'm just saying. There's like, here. I'm not saying that they have a match. I'm just saying that, Randy Orton could like berate these other people or something. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, there's 20 years worth of stuff to pick out between these guys.
20 years worth of history, and they can't move tickets. So whose fault is that?
It's the WWE's. I mean, none of this is Cody's fault. Cody's not writing the show.
Maybe he should.
I agree.
Maybe he should push back.
I think it'd be great.
Maybe he should push back a little bit and be like, hey, we don't need to do this. Let's not do this. But he's not doing that. He's a coward.
He can learn from his mistakes from AEW, and instead of booking himself into a situation where he could never be the champion, he puts himself into a situation where he can never lose the championship.
Yeah, okay. All right. You think Roman is winning on Sunday?
I strongly prefer CM Punk to win.
Wow. That's because Roman is the tribal chief and a bigger star than Cody Rhodes. And so you do not want Cody Rhodes to be overshadowed by OTC1. I get it.
No, I just think that Punk is having. I don't have like a scorecard here of their 1-to-1, interactions. It was kind of strange because Punk did kind of like take back some of the stuff he said also, recently too, like that he does respect the Usos and Alpha and everything. But like, I would have less strong of a preference if Roman was around more often. I just don't really think that there's a need for him to have either championship and not be there again when people can have whatever opinions they want of CM Punk. Obviously he took all that time off, but he is there consistently. He is having good matches. The storylines are interesting. He's been a good world champion. So I'm not, I'd prefer him to just keep going with this, honestly. But I'm also not a huge Roman guy. I know that you are. So
he's the tribal chief. Of course I am.
I think that if Roman turns heel, he'll win. If he makes a full heel turn, he never really paid for anything he did in the bloodline, anyways. All those years, he just kind of returned, and people were like, "Yeah, you rule." It's like, wait a sec, what about all the other stuff though?
Because he's the tribal chief. He doesn't need to pay for his sins. Everyone should be apologizing to him for not seeing his vision of things and for making him out to be the bad guy when all he was trying to do was help his family. He wasn't in the wrong. Everyone was in the wrong for going after him for trying to take food off of his table. He's the head of the table. He decides who eats.
You sound a very compelling argument here, Jeremy. But this is coming from one of the biggest CM Punk haters of all time. CM Punk should retain the championship. I really want to see CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania next year. I would have liked to see it this year, but I think there's a real story they could have told there. But I'm glad that they didn't do it this year because we might have somehow gotten McAfee backing one of these two guys, and then that gets ruined. I shouldn't say this because it isn't true. I was about to say I'd rather them ruin Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes than CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes, but that's really not true because Orton and Cody have such a long history. I've wanted to see this. And I mean, we've seen them wrestle each other, obviously, especially, even recently, but not at WrestleMania, not in the main event. This just isn't at all what anybody wanted out of this. And they're just kind of doing the best that they can with it. But what they really should have done is seen the reaction to the initial thing from McAfee. And then the next week, have Orton just drop him with an RKO and just almost like the Cena babyface turn when he was just like, "Hey, I'm a good guy again, everyone. Just forget that all that other stuff happened. We're just move forward, cheer me again. We're good." They almost could have just done that with the McAfee thing.
I don't know if you caught Randy Orton's interview on WWE.com or WWE YouTube or whatever. I think it's going to air before the show. I think it's going to air as part of the 20-hour pre-show that they're doing.
Mm-hmm. I think I watched it. It was 5 minutes.
No, this is a longer one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not thinking the same thing.
Yeah, this.
It's okay. Sorry, go ahead. What were you say?
I want to make sure. I don't remember the 5-minute one. But regardless, he didn't mention the McAfee stuff once. I don't know when this was recorded, but I assume it was recorded within the past 2 weeks. and it was all about the focus on like the world title and like getting 15 and everything.
Yeah.
And there was like maybe one mention of McAfee's. Like, yeah, I was on the phone with Pat, but there was like they were just trying to ignore all of that. You mentioned like Punk and McAfee and like why is Punk referencing if McAfee's not going to do anything with Night 2. I think that was legitimately what kind of was reported is like Punk's the guy to go out there and start just taking aim at stuff like that. So they said, Punk, here's your microphone, say what you need to say. And then he went after McAfee. McAfee, of course, had to respond. And now it's just part of the story. Look, maybe it is a bigger picture story. Maybe Night 2 does end with Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Pat McAfee, and potentially The Rock just throwing up 4 fingers or something. And that's the Silver Spoons. I don't know what you call that group. Like
the Millionaires Club.
Yeah,
Never heard that one before.
Club. Yeah, just call them TKO. Like, is that what you're gonna call?
Yeah, that's actually kind of hard. The video that I watched, by the way, I found it. It was a 5 minutes and 28 seconds long. It's full interview. Randy Orton is out to break WWE World Title record, WrestleMania 42 countdown highlights.
That might be the same one. I thought it was longer than 5 minutes, but my perception of time is much different because I listen to everything on like 2 times speed, so things go quicker, which makes me think they are actually longer, if that makes any sense.
I know exactly what you're saying.
It might be the same one. I also have no sense of like time in general, and especially this week, you could tell me it's Tuesday and I would believe you. The only reason I know it's Thursday is because we're doing this show. But yeah, that might have been the same one. Regardless, yeah, he didn't mention that stuff like at all. Lunch rolled.
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, hopefully they just. I mean, I almost expect Orton to win the title and then just drop McAfee with an RKO at the end. And just be like, all right, I use you. You're a useful idiot. Like the whole term makes no sense because McAfee was a babyface on the show and he was doing fine. Like the Gunther stuff, whenever he came back for commentary stuff, like he interviews wrestlers all the time. And he's a quote-unquote babyface on his show every single day on ESPN. Like, it doesn't make any sense for him to be doing the heel thing at all.
That's the hilarious part to me, is I mentioned this on Twitter, and I've talked a little bit about it on In the Weeds, but McAfee has his show, and in past years, like, for WrestleMania week, they've loaded him up with WWE guests, and they've done none this year because there's no great way to do it. Like, how are you going to have this guy who is buried everybody but Randy Orton? I assume Randy will be on the show tomorrow, maybe. I could be completely wrong about that. But how can you put anybody else on that show and have it make a lick of sense? I think the only other person you can get away with it on the show is like maybe Heyman, because Heyman is a slime ball in his own kind of way where they can just talk slime ball shop with each other and it's fine. But I think even Heyman would be like, what? Brock Lesnar is on Night 2. What the hell are you doing saying Night 2 sucks when Brock Lesnar is on Night 2 and on ESPN? Like, I just don't think there's any way to put a WWE guest on there. And clearly they think the same thing because they've not put a WWE guest on there.
I don't know why I understand that they thought that this was going to lead to a spike in ticket sales, but it's not. This whole thing is counterproductive for literally every reason. Yeah. So. Yeah.
It rules though. I think it's so.
Hopefully Cody retains.
The other kind of big match of the weekend is, I mean, there's a bunch of big matches, but one that has maybe split opinions on, Obafemi and Brock Lesnar. Where are you at on this?
Brock, Suplex City, multiple F5s, puts this guy down easy. What are your thoughts?
I think you're trolling, and that's fine. as a troll on this show, I'm okay with you trolling. I would not be shocked if they do that because
It's on ESPN, bro.
nothing
People
in this
remember from
company
the UFC.
shocks me. Nothing in this company shocks me, so it would not shock me if they do this. It's such a layup to have Oba win this match, and that's probably why they'll blow it.
Yeah, I think that it would be smarter for the immediate future of the WWE if Oba won. I also think that Brock's going to. I think Brock's going to win. I think Brock's going to be. He's going to win. He's going to go in strong to the Gunther match that they'll build up to eventually. I think Gunther will beat him.
Gunther beats Brock. Yeah, that seems to be the consensus on things. Is Gunther retires Brock at SummerSlam since it's in Minnesota, which possible. I don't know. I don't know like what Brock's what his outlet is, or his outlook, not outlet. Sorry, like I don't know what his outlook is because he hasn't really said anything. You know, I know other people have said stuff for him, but he hasn't really said anything. And dude gets paid good money to come in like once or twice a month, and for only 1 or 2 months out of the year. It's not like he's there the entire time or anything. So maybe he wants to continue. I have no idea. But that seems to be the working theory, is that Gunther retires Brock at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think that they might be building towards. Like, listen, I was trolling when I said that I thought that Brock would just suplex City F5 him. Like, I think that they're going to have a back and forth match where Oba knocks him over and throws him around and vice versa. I think it's going to be back and forth. Hell, Oba might even just straight up squash him and win. But the reason I don't think that that's going to happen is because I don't think it's I think most people can see where this is going with Gunther having this favor from Heyman, and it just making so much sense for everything you just said, where them going to Minnesota, where Brock is basically from. He lives in Canada now, but obviously went to University of Minnesota. But he, the point is, I could see them, because that was also a big thing when Brock came back and wrestled Cena. It would have made more sense in my eyes for John Cena to win that match. But even Cena himself was like, well, we needed Brock to be strong for what we're doing next. But it's like, do you really think they're going to go from like, obviously you beat Cena, but let's just say, like, do they have the same mindset with Oba? Because I think in their minds, I think in Brock's mind, in Heyman's mind, in the WWE creative's mind, I think that they see the buildup as Oba is already on a similar level to Brock. Like, Oba's gotten the better of Brock the entire build to this thing. So when Brock beats Oba, they're going to be able to have some sort of reasonable doubt to where they will run it back. Listen, I think at the end of the day, Oba will beat Brock Lesnar. I just don't think it's going to be a WrestleMania because I think they're going to have Gunther do it. But also, if Gunther beats him in a retirement match, then what do they do? The Oba rematch? I don't know. So I also don't think that necessarily Brock is retiring at SummerSlam either. I'm kind of in that mindset too, though. I think that Gunther can beat Brock. It doesn't necessarily have to be a full-on retirement match, but Gunther adds Brock to the list of like the legends that he choked out, So because obviously like this match with Seth Rollins Seth doesn't retire if he loses to Gunther here. Obviously, like not all of Gunther's big matches have to be retirement matches, but anyways, that all said, I do want to make it clear. If it was up to me, I do think that they have a really big opportunity here with Obafemi. Like, if they have him go out and beat Brock, especially if he looks really impressive, even if it's pretty one-sided where he has most of the offense, he just straight up beats Brock Lesnar, and they really push this guy, I'm for it. Like, they could use a new true, I'm going to say powerhouse. They have Powerhouse Hobbs. They can kind of do a similar type of thing with him. But there's Oba's ready, and he has the history with NXT and the crowd's behind him, and he's got the look. Even Israel Adesanya was doing like the walk in the octagon and stuff. Like, even though I also didn't want to getting knocked out, but before the fight, it was pretty cool seeing that. But anyway, they have a real chance to really make Obafemi a big deal and do it on ESPN with a lot of people watching. But I also think that might be to Oba's detriment as well, not to his fault, but I think they could view it as ESPN, a lot of former UFC fans, a lot of sports fans, like they know Brock Lesnar, so it's like they tune in to see Brock F5 somebody big. So
if Oba
I'm taking
loses, if Oba loses, we riot. I'm not gonna riot, but it would be a huge mistake if Oba loses. That's why I expect them to have Brock win. You mentioned Seth Rollins and Gunther. I think this will probably be the best match, maybe across both nights. Honestly, there's some good matches on this show, but like, it's tough to bet against Seth Rollins and Gunther as the best match when looking up and down the card. As good match as there is, there's not two performers at this level on the card. I think Gunther's gonna win. How about you?
Yeah, I think it's probably the most random match on the show, as far as like them having to put it together fast because like their original opponents aren't available. But I agree with everything you said. I think it's going to be a really good match. I do think Gunther's going to win as well. I love Seth though. Like he's definitely been one of the MVPs of the company the last few years. I mean, going all the way back to years and years at this point, but especially the last few years, I think that he's really on another level when he's unfortunately has to deal with a lot of injuries, but when he's available, he's legitimately one of the most reliable guys that they have in the ring, storyline wise, everything. He's legitimately first ballot Hall of Famer if you're retired right now. So, can't say enough good things about Seth, but with the run that Gunther's on, I just don't see any reason for him to lose, especially if they're building to Gunther versus Brock, which is kind of what I think we're all expecting. So
yeah, I think Gunther will win as well. All right, we'll go through night one here. The Vision and iShow Speed against the Usos and LA Knight. I feel like the Usos and LA Knight are gonna win, but they could also just have iShow Speed because it's on ESPN and people are like, hey, iShow Speed's gonna win. Like, we want to see him. Like, my kids come in the room when I have Raw on or SmackDown. Raw is Raw. He's on Raw. When I have Raw on, and they're like, oh, it's iShow Speed, and I'm like, yeah, he's wrestling this weekend. They're like, oh, I want to watch that. And then they might notice Logan Paul, but like, I feel like everyone knows who iShow Speed is, at least of a certain demographic, and I could very easily see them just having that team win because that's going to get more social media attention.
Yeah, what iShow Speed is doing is respectable in the scope of like
he's doing a good
internet
job,
fame. Yeah, well, I mean, just in general, like even like WWE aside, I think that Speed, you can look at a lot of quote unquote social media influencers and be like, these are not good people. Like, do not replicate what these people are doing. Do not try to be like these people at all. iShow Speed he's an entertaining guy, but what I respect about him is the true athleticism. Like, I've seen this guy jump over moving cars and stuff. Like, he can do legit, perfect backflips. I've seen his show on YouTube where he does different sports against different professionals. Basically, Joe versus Schmo. The show Pro versus Joe, actually, I think is what it was called back in the day.
Pros versus Joes,
Yeah, he basically had a show like that on YouTube. He obviously earned a lot of our respect getting speared by Braun Breaker the way that he did at the Royal Rumble. Like, so I think it's cool that that your kids know who he is, and he isn't one of those. I don't think he's a bad influence on kids and stuff as an influencer. So that's, he's someone I think he's a good fit in the WWE. And if he took it really seriously and wanted to do it long term, he could have a career very much like Logan Paul's if he wanted to. I don't think he has a need to do that at this point. Logan, I think, pivoted into pro wrestling at the perfect time in his life and his career. but ISHO Speed could be a regular part of the show and probably be very, very good at this. Speaking of, we don't need to go on a whole side quest about this, but on the influencer topic, you said your kids know ISHO Speed. Are they familiar with this whole looks maxing trend and clavicular in these people? Do you hear about this stuff?
No, I don't know about this. I don't ask them about this, so I
just wanted to say to the whole chat out there, because it's like a huge trend right now. Looks maxing has gotten very, very big recently, and Cody Rhodes has basically been looks maxing way before it was cool. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If y'all remember the Cody grooming tips on WWE back in the day, look at how he looks now versus how he used to look. Looks maxing isn't a new thing. Don't be like clavicular. Anyways, we can move on to the next. I'm going to choose the Usos and LA Knight also. We just got to hope LA Knight doesn't botch on the big stage, on the grandest stage of them all. If you're going for that jump up elbow drop or something, just don't slip off the ropes. Or, we botch Mania time.
Yeah. Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre.
I feel like Jacob, because if Orton beats Cody, and my prediction is still Cody, but if Orton were to become the champion, I think it makes sense for Fatu and Orton to have a program for the championship, because I also think that you can play out a story where Orton was the person who actually attacked Fatu the entire time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it'd be easy to get into that. And Fatu would be coming off a big win. Now, I like Fatu a lot. I've been a big advocate of his, even back to his MLW days. I've always liked him a lot, but I'm a big time Drew McIntyre guy. I personally prefer Drew McIntyre to win just because I just want to see him winning more often on big shows and big matches, just in general. But I've got nothing against Fatu winning. I prefer Drew McIntyre, but my prediction is I think Jacob Fatu is going to win.
I think Jacob Fatu is going to win as well because he probably needs a win. I mean, Drew kind of needs a win as well. This is the problem when you have so few matches is guys just take losses, and it seems like they lose way more often than they should. And the truth is they just don't have that many matches. And so when you only have 2 matches in 4 months, but you lose one and maybe the other ends in a DQ, it feels like you just lose the entire time. And that's sort of where they're at with both Jacob and Drew, is that I just feel like I watch them lose all the time. I like your idea of maybe Orton is not revealed as the attacker. I feel like they've just completely dropped that and they have no desire to pick it back up, or they don't remember to pick it back up. But I like the idea of Jacob being like the first contender for Randy, even though I think the Randy and Cody stuff is going to continue into Backlash because you got to get Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee involved. Stephanie Becker and Liv Morgan.
I'm going with Liv. It's just a gut feeling. I think Stephanie I don't pay the closest attention to the week-to-week show, but I just feel like she doesn't have the same kind of buzz, or at least feel like as big of a star as Liv Morgan. I mean, this is WrestleMania. There's going to be a lot of non-wrestling fans watching. I think it's really easy for a lot of people to see Liv Morgan even for the first time and either love her or hate her for like a whole bunch of different reasons. I think Stephanie's very good in the ring, and I think it's cool that she has had like this ascension she had so quickly to become the champion. But I just, I feel like you can't go wrong with Liv Morgan being the champion because she's one of the actual biggest stars in the company, in my opinion. So I think they're going to go with Liv Morgan.
I think they're going with Liv as well. It's not even so much about Stephanie, who I think has been really good in this feud. Like, this has kind of been her best work because, like, she's been able to deliver good promos both in English and Spanish. The fights they've been having have been really good. Like, they've been better than most of the men's fights, honestly. Like, there feels like there's some real heat during their attacks and their brawls. Monday was a little bit of a miss, but before all of that, because they've done these attacks so often now that it's like, okay, can we get a little something else? But this has been honestly like one of the better built matches on this card, and it's been it's been pretty basic, but there's nothing wrong with that. Like the story is just basically, it actually started off kind of weak because Liv like cried and it was weird, and then it was, oh well, I come from here and you come from here, and the promos weren't the greatest, but ever since they started just throwing hands, I think it's been really good. But so it has less to do with Stephanie, who again I think's been good in this feud, and more to do with just like Liv, and it feels like it's her time. I'm with you that like they see her as a star, and they should, and now she can do more music videos and pop songs when she's the champion, so that's cool.
Well, and she's still with Dom, which rules. Like I love the pairing of Dom and Liv. So like, yeah. She's just very, very marketable. Even when I watch I've watched videos of her doing, I think it was Complex with like the sneaker shopping and stuff. Yeah. And she's like she really knew her stuff. She was like really into it, like very personable, great interview. Like she really, yeah, they have a real star in her. And that's not to say anything bad about Stephanie either, like you were saying. And I think there's a lot of value also, especially being bilingual and stuff like that. Like, you open up a lot of markets being able to communicate to fans across the world. And this isn't like she's very early in her career. She's not in a position where, like, for example, like Julia, I know that she's the US champion, but she's not even on WrestleMania. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like Stephanie, I think if Stephanie loses to Liv, this is just one reign of many to come. Like, she's not, all she has to do is, she'll be back in that mix. Like, so that's kind of where I'm at with it too. Just because I'm going with Liv, and I think that Liv is the biggest star now, Stephanie is by no means, done or buried because she loses to Liv here.
Yeah.
And by the way, she might win. It's also very possible she retains. So.
AJ Lee, Becky Lynch for the women's IC title.
I got to go with Becky. I mean, I prefer it on like every level. Is AJ Lee supposed to be around longer, like past WrestleMania, or?
I think so. I don't really know. I think she probably wants to be. It seems like she's having fun. I think she wants to do more matches. Like, she got to wrestle Bayley, which I know she wanted to do, but she hasn't really wrestled anybody else, and I think she wants to wrestle others. Like, she's mentioned she wants to wrestle like Io and stuff, but they just haven't used her. And this build has been pretty weak to me. They've barely been on television. It's been a lot of backstage stuff, but they're doing a match that we literally just saw a month ago at Elimination Chamber, and they didn't add any type of stipulation or anything. So, but I'm going with Becky, though. I am going with Becky.
Yeah, outside of, I'm about to say, outside of this match you're about to tee up, I least looking forward to AJ Lee and Becky. And like, it's like the match that I care about the least of any. These two back to back are the ones that I care. And it made me sound sexist, I know, because we're talking about a lot of women's matches. But like this, I do not really care about AJ Lee versus Becky or the women's tag team match. Although I do like some of the talent in the match. I don't really care about these two matches that much, to be honest.
Women's tag titles: Irresistible Forces, Bayley and Lyra, Alexa and Charlotte, and potentially the Bella Twins.
Maybe Danhausen. Maybe
Danhausen. I don't.
He might jump in
here.
No, I do like his interactions.
I think it'll be Kabuki Warriors if it can't be the Bella Twins.
Well, I feel like that's why they've held off Io, because Asuka's not on this either, right? So, yeah. Because they should have a match with each other. Well, one show has 7 and one show has 6. Do you think that they would just like add those to a match on night 2, maybe? If they don't have to be in the tag team match?
Yeah, I could see.
Because there's no way those two aren't on the show. Yeah.
I mean, there could be a way these two aren't on the show. But yeah, I could see them adding Asuka and Io to night 2. Because that night only has one women's match as well, and they put 3 on night 1, which the balance feels a little off there.
Yeah, I got you. As far as a prediction for this match, I kind of like the idea of the team of the Irresistible Forces, like making them unstoppable. But it's hard for me to go against Charlotte specifically. Charlotte and Alexa, I guess I'm just going to go with them. There's really no rhyme or reason to it, honestly.
Alexa Bliss Gamer will be happy that you said Charlotte and Alexa. I think it's going to be the Bellas if they're cleared. I don't know if they'll be cleared. It feels like they're setting up Lyra and Bayley to win, like through television. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah,
I could see it being Charlotte and Alexa, though. Like, sure, why not?
Yeah, I know Bayley, got screwed out of the show last year. This could kind of be like a make it up to her type of thing too, potentially. And I do think storyline wise, from the little bit that I've seen, it does seem like Bayley and Lyra are the best option. But there's just something about Charlotte being so lost in the mix that she's in this versus normally she's like, world title singles match or something, or like in the main event type thing. Like, so I was kind of it just stands out to me. So I'm going with Charlotte and Alexa.
We talked about Seth and Gunther. We talked about the main event. So night 2, 6-person ladder match for the Intercontinental title. Penta, Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Rusev, and Rey Mysterio.
I'd prefer Penta to retain here. I know that the odds are, against him, considering it being a multi-person match. I guess everyone technically has the same odds to win, but he's the champion going into it. Odds would be that a new champion would be crowned, I guess you would say. I think it'd be a big moment for Javon to win. I don't think he necessarily needs it right away, but I'm not against it. Javon clearly has a very bright future. A lot of great talent in here. No chance Rusev wins. No shot Rusev wins. I'm the most sure I am about anything on this entire show, night 1 or night 2. Rusev is not winning this 6-pack ladder match for the Intercontinental title. I'm glad that Rey's on the show. It was kind of random that he was put in this match, but I do love me some Rey Mysterio. So there's a lot of good talent in the match, but I also don't see any point in them taking the Intercontinental title off of Penta, unless they were going to move him into the world title scene, which I don't think there's a need to do just yet. But Penta is super over. The kids love him. I believe, I haven't looked into his merchandise, but I don't know. I'd imagine they're selling his masks and stuff. I'd imagine his merchandise does very well. I even said it. Remember before Penta joined WWE, I made a prediction and I said that Penta would be, I think I said something like a singles champion or competing for a singles title within like 2 years of being in the company at WrestleMania. Well, I knew Penta was going to be a hit in this company. And it wasn't surprising at all to me to hear on WWE Unreal when the creative team was talking about him and Paul Heyman and those guys were like, we got something for real in this guy. So that's why there's no point in him losing this match and not being the champion unless they're going to elevate him. But just I would slow burn that. So I'm going Penta.
I think it'd be Penta or Javon. I'm with you that like they don't really need to take the title or anything off of Penta. I like the idea of like giving Javon a moment, because how many moments are you going to get? And I don't have faith that they will capitalize on any of these moments. So when they're in front of you, you should just go for them. But I think Penta ultimately does win. Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley.
I think Jade retains, and I think if Bianca returns, she actually helps Jade. I think she swerves everyone who thinks she's gonna be feuding with Jade, because wasn't Rhea in the match where she got hurt? I'm pretty sure she can blame Rhea for the injury, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So I think that if Bianca's ready to come back, I think she comes out and everyone goes insane. Huge baby face pop, huge return. Everyone thinks she's gonna help Rhea win the championship. She actually helps Jade. That's my prediction.
That sounds terrible, but okay.
That's my prediction.
They got to get this title off Jade. I'm sorry. Rhea should win. Bianca can return and still confront Rhea and do all of that. That's fine. She has no reason to like Jade. I mean, Naomi's unfortunately out of the picture, so they can't really continue off of that. Jade's a bad person now, so Bianca should not like her and go after Rhea because, oh, you hurt my finger, when that, shit kind of happens. But I see your point. I just don't like it. And
well, it's just a guess. I think, like, just for the sake of, like, I think we'll get, well, actually, there's another kind of a swerve that I think we might get on the same show. So maybe not. Maybe I do think it's possible that we see. I mean, we all want to see Bianca back.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it's just too obvious of, like, Bianca comes back and costs Jade. I feel like everyone just kind of sees that coming too much. Now, granted, in wrestling, a lot of the time doing the obvious thing is just, like, the right thing to do. I'm not against just doing the obvious thing, but I think WWE is constantly thinking like that. And they're like, well, all the fans are thinking we're going to do this because it makes so much logical sense. So we're just going to do the opposite thing to swerve them. And I so that's kind of where my mind is when I make some of these predictions. I got nothing against Rhea. I think Rhea, as far as the females go, Rhea's probably their top female in the company. And I can't sit here and say, yeah, she doesn't deserve to be the WWE Women's Champion. Like, she could win the title at any point. I'll never complain about it. But I'm also a big Jade Cargill stan, so I'm going to go Jade.
All right. I think Rhea is going to win. I think Rhea should win. Sami Zayn and Trick Williams.
So this is where the other potential swerve, if you want to call it, can come into play, because I don't think it's a coincidence, and you watch the shows more consistently than I do. Sami Zayn's pretty much getting booed now, right? I mean, like, he's not getting the reactions he was before by any stretch. Even in Saudi Arabia in that title match, he didn't get as big of a bait. Would you agree with that? Like, especially compared to the Montreal match in Elimination Chamber, like, Sami's title shot. I mean, obviously, that Montreal is going to be bigger, but, like, did you expect the reaction in Saudi Arabia to be bigger for Sami?
I don't remember what the reaction was in Saudi Arabia, so I don't remember enough of, like, how it sounded.
I felt like at the time, and maybe I'm remembering wrong, which is very possible, but I felt like at the time that it was a little underwhelming, the reaction that he was getting in Saudi Arabia. And I also think that was somewhat of a test run, almost, to a degree, because obviously WrestleMania is going to be in Saudi Arabia next year, and there very well could be floating the idea around about Sami finally winning a world title there, potentially. So, like, I think that all these things are kind of at play, but when it comes to this particular match, this is where I pretty much see a double turn situation, because Trick is so over that I don't think there's really a point in them. Like, I think they should just lean into Sami. Like, even if Sami wins, my prediction is going to be Trick, but even if Sami wins, if he does it in a way where he cheats and he goes full heel, then I could totally see that happening. That actually is probably the most likely situation. But I'm also just going to kind of go with my gut here and say that they essentially do a double turn, but Sami still costs himself somehow, because I just feel like Trick is just, like you were talking about with Javon with the Intercontinental title, like, just, strike while the iron's hot, like, don't wait on something just for the sake of waiting for things to play out or whatever. I think in this situation, it's a bit different with it being a one-on-one match, and, like, the reaction Trick is going to be getting for his entrance and throughout the match, I feel like you should just give him the moment and have him win the title, personally. So I'm going with Trick.
Yeah, I think Trick will win. I could see a double turn simply for the reasons you kind of mentioned, is like Trick is super over, and Sami he's clearly leaning a little bit more into the heel side, at least addressing it. I don't even know if it's a full-on double turn. It's just people are going to cheer for Trick and boo Sammy, and then you go from there. I don't know like how they like fully pull that off unless Sammy tries to do underhand tactics the entire match and Trick overcomes and Trick wins the match, and so he's the babyface in that way. But yeah, I'm going with Trick as well. And then Finn Balor against Dominic Mysterio.
This will be the Demon, Finn Balor, of course. You need to highlight that. I'm going to go with the Demon, even though the Demon has been kind of unsuccessful on the main roster, at least the most recent outing. He lost to Edge. He's lost
his last 2 matches. He's a dork.
He's going to win here, though. I love Dom. I am a big Dirty Dom supporter, okay? And I've always liked Finn as well, even back to his Prince Devitt days. I like that they're finally doing something with him as a singles guy. I've liked his stuff with Punk recently and stuff like that. So I'm a big fan of both these guys. I think the time was right to split Balor away from the Judgment Day. And yeah, I think it's just pretty clear. They're not going to bring the Demon back at this point and have him lose this match after all this build. So I'm going Balor.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that Balor wins, and they actually have the Demon pick up a victory for once on the main roster. All right, let's go to other spotlight.
Our product is what it is. We're going straight up the middle.
The System beat the Hardys for the tag titles. You wanted to spotlight this?
Well, we have a section of our show called the Other Spotlight, right? So I got to pick something. I was torn because it was like, do I choose the Hardcore Country match? Do I?
Yeah, that rule.
I almost chose Special Agent Zero versus Moose, but I thought that you would think I was trolling. But I actually really like Special Agent Zero versus Moose from the pay-per-view a lot. It was a good big man match, and they hit all their spots perfectly and did a lot of cool stuff. And Agent Zero won, which is like, I'd be a hypocrite if I sat here and I was like talking for all these years about TNA needs to push their own talent and stuff and push new people and people that weren't on other shows. And they actually do that with somebody. I can't complain about that. So anyway, there were a couple of highlights from Rebellion. I thought Rebellion itself actually had most of the matches actually were very good. It's just the finishes were really like almost all the same. They were all screw job finishes, which, ruined the fan experience. I think, and that's why I think people reviewed the show so negatively overall. But I chose what I thought was the most positive thing, depending on how you look at it. You had the System, the team of Bear Bronson and Brian Myers defeating the Hardys. Now, on one hand, the Hardys are probably the biggest draw I shouldn't say probably, they're the biggest draw in the company, especially from like a don't watch wrestling standpoint. TNA's in your town, you see a poster. Oh, I remember Jeff Hardy jumping off ladders. Like and they get the biggest pops, and there's the nostalgia, and they can still go out there and do their greatest hits. So on one hand, it's like, why take the titles off of the Hardys? They're a draw as the champions for whatever that's worth to TNA. But on the flip side, once again, positive side here, it is cool on a lot of levels for Brian Myers and Bear Bronson to win the titles together. For people who don't know, Bear Bronson trained at Creative Pro. Brian Myers, one of the people that runs that school, he trained Bear Bronson. When there was openings in the System, Myers handpicked him to join the group. It's been pretty well documented what happened with Bear Bronson's previous tag team partner and like the situation that put him in that had nothing to do with him at all. So him pretty much having to reinvent himself on the indie scene and outside of AEW and all this stuff. Like there's a lot of in the deathmatch scene, there's a lot of respect. And you see it in the wrestling community. Like a lot of wrestlers, a lot of fans really, really respect where Bear Bronson's at in his career right now, coming off of everything I just said. Plus, when he was in AEW, most of the time he wasn't really used much. We love Jack Jameson and everything, and like getting any kind of airtime then. But the point is, this guy's done very, very well for himself since leaving AEW out on his own. And Myers being able to win the titles with him, I know, is a special thing for Myers being his trainer. They got to beat the Hardys, which in my opinion, the Hardys are the greatest tag team of all time. Especially on paper, when you look at accolades and the amount of time that they've, all the years that they've put in as a tag team and everything. And if you want to even add in their individual accolades onto that, the Hardys are the best team ever, in my opinion. So, you beat them for the titles. I thought the match was solid. That's why I wanted to highlight it. It was a good moment I'm a Brian Myers guy. I'm a big fan of the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, in their YouTube channel and their merchandise and their toy lines and stuff. So I have a lot of respect for Brian Myers and what he does with Creative Pro. They put on a great show. He actually, side note, his gimmick or whatever you want to call it is the most professional wrestler. And he actually proved that recently when Carlos Silva and TNA pulled, basically ruined his main event and took away the possibility of doing Nick Nemeth versus MJF from Creative Pro. And the way that Myers handled that, I thought, was incredibly professional. He was put in a really bad spot. He is a TNA contracted talent who has to work with this company that just ruined a main event for a show that he's promoting and has already sold tickets for and has to now issue refunds for potentially and stuff that he had nothing to do with, that he had already okayed with everybody. So, I just wanted to say some good stuff about Brian Myers and Bear Bronson, and they are the new tag team champions of TNA.
I was happy for Bear Bronson and Brian Myers. I do like them, so good on them. The TNA show existed. Right, let's move to the indie spotlight.
I'm gonna give a big motherfucking shout out.
What are you looking forward to most for WrestleMania week on the independent scene, Jensen?
So I'll rifle through a few things here, and we will get on out of here. I'm pulling up some of the upcoming. There's shows on. I think is the Mark Hitchcock show still going right now, probably. Yeah. And shout out to Mose, first of all, who's on the call for a lot of these shows. Our boy Mose doing big things. I believe he's on the call for spring break, or at least some of these GCW shows, if not most of them, throughout the weekend. So that's been cool to see. Also, on a personal note, one thing that I'm really have my eyes on here on our topic is the brass ring match that they're going to be having for GCW. That's going to be on spring break. I don't know if they have all the competitors listed or not. I'm still trying to pull this up.
They do. Do you need them?
Sorry, give me like 3 seconds because I think I finally have what I need pulled up. My computer's going so slow. Okay, yes. So the brass ring ladder match, Gringo Loco, Shotzi Blackheart, Bear Bronson, who we just mentioned, Mander, Sydney Akeem, Viperous, Charles Manson, and Teriyaki. Am I missing anybody?
No, I don't think so.
So it's going to be the grab, the brass ring, ladders, and chairs match. Now, the reason I'm so interested in this is because the previous winner of the brass ring never lost their brass ring. And that man's name is Cole Radrick. Could the rumors be true? Could Cole Radrick be returning soon? That's something I'm really, really paying attention to this weekend. Does Cole Radrick return? Does he win the brass ring again? Does he have to fight the winner of the person who wins the brass ring? Is he ever coming back at all? But the Ratty Daddy has been putting some teasers out there recently on his social media where it looks like the wheels could be spinning a little bit. And the Ratty Daddy, I'm hoping that's one of my storylines here kind of the weekend is, will Cole Radrick return? That's something I'm really, so that's something. Another thing I'm really looking forward to, a lot of this stuff is going to be related to spring break. That's by far, at least in my opinion, the biggest show this year. It usually is, but on paper especially. We got Marco Stunt and Jack Perry versus Sam Stackhouse and KJ Orso. It's kind of random that Orso and Stackhouse got back together after killing each other for like the last year, but this is a great matchup, and it was really cool to see Jack Perry return and help Marco Stunt. I also watched the interview that y'all did on In the Weeds with Marco Stunt recently, and I thought that was cool. Him talking about Southern Underground Pro especially was very cool. It was funny because when you brought my name up, he was like, "Do I know him?" He's like, wasn't sure, and so I messaged him on X, and I was like, "Hey man, I'm the guy that they're talking about." And he wrote me back. He was like, "Bro, duh!" Like, it's just funny. But yeah, I haven't been around Marco in years, but I used to be around him quite a bit in Nashville and in Chattanooga a little bit when he did stuff with the SCI. But cool to see Marco's returned, and he broke the news on y'all's show that this is a full-time return. Like, Marco's back, so I'm looking forward to that. My prediction, by the way, is that Marco Stunt and Jack Perry win the match. As far as the brass ring goes, I know we were just talking about him, but I kind of feel like Bear Bronson's just got a lot of momentum. I could see him winning the brass ring if Cole Ryder doesn't come back, and I feel like it's possible Cole comes back and like wins this as a surprise and like wins the brass ring back that he never lost. Maybe that's just another just random prediction, but those are a couple of things. I mean, I could go obviously Janela and Brody Lee Jr. Like, that's obvious. The clusterfuck, I love it. I always love the clusterfuck, the immortal clusterfuck. Sandman versus the Invisible Man. It's going to be incredible. The build for that's been great. The video package of Sandman getting attacked doing talk shows and stuff has been great. So, what are your thoughts, Jeremy? Give me some stuff that you're looking forward to for the weekend.
I'm always looking forward to Bloodsport. That's typically one of my favorite events because it's different. FSW is kind of doing something similar with Killer Cross, the Natural Born Killers event. So I'm looking forward to Killer Cross's take on that. And like Janela Spring Break is always the highlight. I'm looking forward to Sandman and Invisible Man. That's going to be hilariously awesome. So I am looking forward to that. And there's a House of Glory show tonight that looks really good as well. So I'll be tuned in to that one. But that's wrong.
Yeah, those are all good calls. Rob Van Dam's wrestling on Juggalo Championship Wrestling, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's like him and Willie Mack and someone in like a 6-person tag match or something, I want to say. So if you want to see RVD, whoop whoop with the Juggalos. Our boy Matt Mako is fighting on Bloodsport. I do know that. I actually just got I finally ordered one of his T-shirts, and he wrote me a nice little note on a sticky note. Said hopefully talk soon. Thanks for the support, man. Well, no problem, Matt. You know you got some support here. I love watching him in the Bloodsport events. Also, I mean that's his world. There's some really good, interesting fights for Bloodsport. I'm outside of Spring Break. This is the show that I'm the most looking forward to is Bloodsport. Also with the women, Miyu Yamashita and Janai Kai are going to be on Bloodsport. That's going to be a really good one. Takeda and Pete Dunne, Thatcher and Charlie Dempsey, Nagata and Josh Barnett. It's going to be a fun show, fun weekend, a lot of good matches. I'm going into it a little more blind than I have been in recent years just because I haven't had to cover it weekly for the weekend, or I've just been so busy with work this WrestleMania season. But as I've been catching up and seeing more of the cards, I've been getting more and more hyped up. And I'm so glad that I'm off work tomorrow. I can watch some of this stuff live tomorrow, which is going to be fun. So all weekend wrestling. Anything else to add for the weekend? Any other expectations? Anything that you are looking forward to, or you really want to see, or any wrestlers, or anything at all? Yeah, any surprises on the Raw after Mania? Anything?
I'll be happy when it's over. I'm
fair enough.
It's WrestleMania week. Like there's always some fun stuff. I like to enjoy it, honestly. Like I just want to enjoy what's in front of me, and I do look forward to just watching it and enjoying the show. So that's where I'm at, basically.
Well, I'm right there with you. This is going to be and it's already been a pretty expensive week. Once again I did very well on my I won some money the other day. It was very good, and I actually used a lot of that money already on wrestling related memorabilia. So that'll continue to happen throughout WrestleMania. So that I'm looking forward to that too. I'm hopefully get some cool stuff, buy some memorabilia, keep filling up my collection, and hang out. Gonna watch WrestleMania with some friends too. I have a couple people that are interested in coming over and watching some of the matches. Night one for Cody, so they have no idea how bad the story's been, but they're they know who Randy Orton is, and who Pat McAfee is. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to follow the stuff I got going on, check me out on X at FightTalk_. And if you want my full review of TNA Rebellion with Crest the Star, that's also available over on the Fightful main YouTube channel. It was a co-stream where SP3 and Kate reviewed Collision, and then it went right into me and Cresta reviewing Rebellion. So if you're looking for the stream, that's where to find it. I'm sure the audio is probably available. I don't keep up with this stuff good enough, but I think y'all take the audio, and that's available too, where podcasts are available. So
yeah, I think it's on the main channel podcast feed. You can get it. So there you go. All right, Jensen. Anything else?
That's pretty much it. Next Thursday is the NFL draft. You won't be here. Oh, next week. So I may do the show next week, y'all. Jeremy can't make it. I may have a co-host. I may go solo. I may not show up at all. So the next time you hear from us will either be pre-NFL draft or post-NFL draft. So all of you football fans out there, starting to get real again here. And a lot of stuff's going to happen. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of trades and some big moves and some big news in the world of the NFL. So we're going to talk about the next time me and Jeremy catch up here on the Spotlight. Also been watching a lot of baseball, which has been a lot of fun. Don't give a fuck about what's going on in the NBA. And looking forward to WrestleMania. And congratulations once again to Darby Allin for winning the AEW World Championship. I've said it many times. That's a guy that I watched wrestle in a high school gym in Chattanooga, Tennessee back in like 2017 or 18. And I'll never forget, my dad was at the show with me and we were watching it. And my dad being like, man, this guy's really entertaining. It's a real shame that like he's so small, like he could never be in the WWE. And I was like, yeah, it is a shame. I really wish there was like another company that, you could work for where you didn't have to go to the WWE. And then lo and behold, a couple years later, AEW exists. Darby Allin's a day one signing. And all these years later, he is the AEW World Champion. Well-deserved. Congratulations to Darby Allin.
There you go, folks. I'll be back tomorrow. Myself and I think Joel in the weeds. Maybe I'm going to go take a nap or something at this point. Jensen, appreciate you as always. Yes, we're off next week. I am at least off. Jensen might be here because I know there's a lot to talk about with WrestleMania and the fallout. I'll be very disappointed if Cody does lose and I can't immediately troll you on next week's show. I have to wait an entire week, but such is life. Appreciate you, Jensen. Appreciate everybody. We'll talk to y'all later on.